If you've been online recently, you've probably heard about ChatGPT because it's all over the internet. Since its launch, it's actually seen more traffic than Instagram did or Facebook back when they first started. So what is it and how can it help you with your Salesforcing? So what is artificial intelligence? In a really kind of high level explanation, and again, we're not going to spend too much time going into the details of what AI is or how it works, but it's important to have some idea. Artificial intelligence is less about being smart and more about being well trained. Computers are fed a really, really big amount of information that has two parts. You have the object and you have a description. If we use a dog as an example, it's fed a whole series of images of dogs and doing different things, posing in different ways with different breeds of dogs. And attached to each image, there'll be a description of that image, that it's a dog, that it's a golden retriever, that it's running or jumping or sitting there looking cute. From that, over time, over lots and lots of data, it starts to be able to extrapolate information. If you ask it to describe a dog or a golden retriever, it will use this reference image and any other reference images it has about a golden retriever and kind of extrapolate based on that. Now, images work, text also works, and that is what ChatGPT uses. Very large sets of text-based data, think blog posts, Wikipedia articles, news websites, etc., with descriptors of what's in those bodies of text. Single words, short sentences, full paragraphs. It slowly begins to understand, as much as it can, what each set of data represents in a simple word, and then it can reverse it back to you. Now, one of the bigger concerns about artificial intelligence is exactly about that data set. If you're looking at large amounts of data, there are some inherent biases if they're taken off the internet. A really classic and well talked about example is if you Google image, CEO, it's only going to show predominantly white men in business wear, all right? And so in artificial intelligence, because it's trained on that same set of information, if you ask it to describe a CEO, well, all it's seeing is pictures of white dudes. We all know that's not necessarily the case. Those biases can be really tricky to understand, and there are some ways to counterplay that, but not necessarily relevant for today's discussion. The other issue, of course, that's a hot topic at the minute is what are your rights when you post an image to the internet or post your stories? Is it okay for these artificial intelligences to be scraping that data and taking it away from you? And these days, data is really important. What are the ramifications of this? Where is it getting these data sets from? For today, we're going to be focusing on how it can benefit you with your Salesforce journey. So it's challenging, right? There's no immediate yes or no here of it will help you do this and it will help you do this. ChatGPT, the easiest parallel to draw is that it's kind of like talking to Google, except it's a bit more talkative and it's like talking to a really smart person instead. You can ask it to help explain things to you. You can ask it to provide references, but that data set's last updated in 2021, so some things are out of date. Something to be really mindful of with ChatGPT is that no matter what the answer is, it's really confident. And so if you don't know, it might be feeding you the wrong information. It's always good to check afterwards through another source to make sure you're going down the right path with this. My personal view of ChatGPT, it's pretty good at creating solutions, but it's much better at helping provide you information to then extrapolate from. I personally have used ChatGPT recently to provide an example startup company, give me some business needs, and then I built a demo org based on that information. And because it's all made up and it's not giving me the solution, and the chances of things going wrong are much less than asking it to provide, a full code or an Apex solution for a challenge that I give it. We're going to head across to a live demo in Chrome now with ChatGPT. So we're now in Google Chrome. Very simple. If we haven't opened up ChatGPT before, let's go onto the website. Just by searching ChatGPT on Google. It should be the top link. You're looking for openai.com. So opening up the ChatGPT website, this provides us some information on who OpenAI is, the people behind ChatGPT, what ChatGPT does, how they've trained it, and a very, very big overview. The one thing I will highlight on this page is that during the research preview, usage of ChatGPT is free, which means that it won't be forever. Make the most of it whilst you can. We're looking for the Try ChatGPT button. This will take you to a sign up link where you need to sign up with your email address, just some information about you. It is, at this stage though, again, completely free. I've already made an account though, so we're going to go to the homepage of how we interact with ChatGPT. So this is the homepage for ChatGPT. It gives you some examples, questions you can ask it, what it can do in some brief dot points, and again, just kind of talking about the limitations. The biggest thing to be aware of, most likely for our purposes, is that data set was from a data set in 2021, so anything that Salesforce has changed in the last almost 12 months now, ChatGPT won't be aware of. Let's start basic. Talking to ChatGPT, how can it help us learn Salesforce? So instantly you ask your question and it starts typing a response straight away. Again, it's kind of like Googling, but talking to a human. The responses are pretty quick, and depending on what you ask, you can ask it to expand upon certain points, to rewrite subsections. But for this, I think it gives you a pretty nice overview, And there's some options that it provides you here. Things like, just teaching yourself about the Salesforce platform and its capabilities, taking an online course or training program like the one we're in. Experiment with the Salesforce platform by creating a free trial account. Look at community resources, creating test environments, etc., etc. Now, again, a lot of this is kind of general in nature, and this is where you kind of start to see the slight oddities of artificial intelligence, right? It doesn't actually know what it's telling you. It just thinks that this is how you learn something. It doesn't know for sure. So let's say we're familiar with the platform. We've started to take an online course like Trailhead, for example, and weird that it didn't mention that specifically. But maybe we're at that stage now where we want to make a demo environment and we're not sure kind of where to start. Or maybe, actually, taking it back a step, maybe we're not sure how to interact with ChatGPT. So what are some questions that we can ask ChatGPT to help us learn more about Salesforce? And again, these responses coming through really, really quick. This is all in real time here. So just looking at some of the responses that are jumping out to me here, what are some common use cases for Salesforce in sales, marketing, and customer service? We can then ask it to expand upon this question. And then instantly starts diving into more detail. So looking at sales options, it'll keep going through marketing and support. Now, if you're watching this video, these are probably things you're familiar with, but I'd really recommend you experiment with this in your own free time. Now, if ever we wanted to restart this chat again, we absolutely can. The other thing I'll show you is that actually if you don't like that response, you can immediately get it to rewrite you a new one. And it's going to reframe things, it's going to focus on different topics, and that's what it's doing now. See that the formatting has changed. It's shorter sentences and not in dot points, for example. And it's using different points to focus on, say for the marketing or customer service experience. So we've got a pretty good idea now of what Salesforce is. What if we want ChatGPT to provide us some challenges, things to do in Salesforce to test our learning? Let's see what it does. So can you provide me some example challenges to complete in a dev org? So you create a custom object and custom fields. Sure, pretty basic. Build a report. Again, like really useful tools. And so it knows some things about Salesforce, right? But again, it doesn't actually know what it's telling us. It's, from its library of information, it knows that Salesforce involves things called custom objects and fields, involves things like records, it involves things like lightning components. And it assumes that they're things that you could probably do. And so it gives those back to you. Very cute that it hopes it gives us some ideas to get started. Now, let's say we want to take this a bit further and kind of flip it. We want to provide the challenges to ourselves. We're having some trouble figuring out which business we're going to support. There's a lot of talk online about potentially volunteering your services, but I guess the difficult issue that can introduce is that you might not know what you're doing and may cause issues that you find challenging to repair or even impossible to repair. The other issue is that most likely you're volunteering to get experience, and once you've gotten that experience, you'll most likely leave that position, and that's no critique on you, but for the organization that you're volunteering with, that can leave them in a void. Now, my recommendation is to use something like ChatGPT to provide us an example business so that then we can, build out a use case without any real world ramifications, right? It doesn't matter if, the Salesforce solution that we build for an AI is broken because, it's a computer, right? It's all good. So let's get ChatGPT's help here to make us a business to provide some help with. So the prompt that I'm giving ChatGPT, I want it to provide me a few different businesses that are currently in a growth phase. I want it to give me their business name. I want some company values. And I want to know how their sales team are currently working and where they're getting stuck. I'm going to give it the seed that I want the resolution to be a CRM, so it's not recommending solutions that aren't my focus currently. Let's see what it provides us. So let's see, and then immediately it's starting to give us, these really fun startup companies. We have Grow Green, which is our sustainable agriculture business that sells organic, locally grown produce to restaurants and grocery stores. Fit Fast, which is a fitness subscription-based service with a nutrition offering. And Tech Talks, which is a startup that provides online training and consultation services. These are all some really good options. I mean, straight away, you have kind of multiple paths to look at. The solution that you build for Grow Green, for example, that's providing physical goods is probably going to be something very different to the solution you're going to provide for Fit Fast. If you're not happy with any of these, again, we can always regenerate the response. Let's see what else it gives us. Interestingly enough, giving us another food-based startup company. The Daily Grind, a specialty coffee roaster. That's something that hits home to me. I think I might go with this one. We'll see what option 3 is. Ooh, the Pet Store. Now, an online retailer that sells a range of pet products from food and toys to grooming supplies. This seems like something that might actually be a bit more fun to build out and give us some other options to explore as well. Now, this is kind of a bonus step, but something that I had fun with when I was doing this myself is like, what is the brand identity for this business? Because then you can do things like change the themes and branding in Salesforce to match it, and this gives you a template to work with. So going back to the original prompt that's given us, the Pet Store is an online retailer that sells a wide range of pet products. Their sales team mainly operates through their website and social media channels, and they're struggling to keep track of customer interactions and follow up on leads. Looks like they might not have a set-in-place solution yet. They're looking to introduce a CRM to help them manage that relationship. As far as what we know about the Pet Store, its logo is something like a stylized paw print with really bright, cheerful, vibrant colors. And their hashtag is #PetLove, which is how they interact with these users in social media and advertising campaigns. So now that we have an idea of who we're working with, one of my favorite things that I've uncovered with ChatGPT is that it can actually provide you like transcripts of conversations that have never happened. So let's get it to provide us a transcript of a first meeting, say from a business analyst from XYZ company, and let's say the sales manager from the pet store. So now that we know who our client is, one of the favorite things that I find ChatGPT is really fun with and really kind of useful for is that you can get it to provide transcripts from meetings that have happened hypothetically. So let's get it to provide us a chat transcript from, let's say, the first meeting between a business analyst at XYZ Consulting and let's say the director of sales at the pet store. Let's see what it gives us. So again, and like this is all in real time and this is really, really quick. We might speed this up a little bit because these conversations can be slightly long. But it's giving us that first meeting. There's introductions happening. It understands that they're looking to improve the efficiency of their sales team and manage better customer relationships. Talk to me about the challenges you're facing. And then the director of sales is giving us a full written response here. So we can use this to kind of start to form the basis of maybe our user stories, help us fill in some links for personas. But at the very least, this is another really good resource you can then put into a hypothetical project file and refer back to this later, making sure that you're following up on all of the things that were introduced in meeting 1. Or if you wanted to, create transcripts from a whole bunch of meetings throughout this project. So now that we've had that first meeting, it's ended off saying from the business analyst side, that they're going to write up some recommendations and write a project proposal over the next few days. So let's get ChatGPT to write those recommendations and that business proposal. So the prompt we've given ChatGPT: can you provide that recommendations and business proposal the business analyst will provide the director of sales in the format of an email sent to all the relevant stakeholders? And again, immediately it's starting to give us this email. And so you can pretty quickly build out this kind of full-fledged, conversation, these emails, these meetings, none of which have happened, but can, provide sources of inspiration for you to then build out these solutions. Now, finishing up that email and having to read through it, one of the really funny things about this, right? Again, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT doesn't actually know what it's providing to you, right? One of its recommendations to this business customer is to set up a Salesforce trial account and explore the platform. Something that probably isn't a recommendation you would ever give in real life. And so again, it's just important to actually validate what ChatGPT is giving you, because it provides you with so much confidence and assurance that it can really kind of tell you the wrong thing. We'll move on from the example email. So now that we've gotten that first conversation going, we know who the pet store is. Let's create some personas from the pet store. So we'll use those personas to provide us the foundation for our project, creating user stories with UAT criteria, and we can actually get ChatGPT to help out with all of this. So I've created 2 example personas here, one of them for a SDR and one of them for an example sales manager. For both of these, the format is pretty similar, and if you're not happy with it, again, we can regenerate the response or include different criteria. I was trying to do it for multiple personas at once, but I think I kept hitting a network error. So sometimes it's worthwhile just to shrink it down to smaller bite-sized chunks and let it proceed that way. I find that typically has a higher chance of success if ever ChatGPT starts getting a little weird or not loading responses properly. For our project now, we have a business, we have some example personas. What we need next is some user stories, and ChatGPT can keep helping us with that if that's something you're not comfortable with in doing. All right, so it's given us 2 example user stories with UAT criteria. The formatting's fine, but potentially for this project, you might want that UAT criteria structured differently. An example of that would be in a given, when, then framework. So let's get ChatGPT to rewrite it with that criteria. Great, so now that that's being rewritten, we can then use that framework. All right, it's really easy to get ChatGPT to change things, change its tonality, or even rewrite full segments for you. Now, we've seen here it's given us examples from a marketing manager perspective, from a sales manager perspective. If you wanted to, you can really narrow that down to, say, create a demo org just for Sales Cloud, or just for Service Cloud, or just for marketing, or whatever focus you want, or maybe you want to explore all of it. I guess the benefit and challenge with ChatGPT is that it kind of knows a little bit about everything. And if that's all you know as well, it might be sending you down the wrong path or not setting you up for success. So be careful, but have fun with it. I think this is a really good resource. And I know for me personally, it's changed the way that I plan to, create demo orgs. ChatGPT will not be free forever. So whilst we have it as a resource available to us, let's make the most of it. Let me know what you think and reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.